All right, everybody. So I want to welcome you to this edition of Supernova Sales School. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Shamika Tankerson. I'm also known as the Sell More Mentor, and I'm the best-selling author. I'm an Amazon international best-selling author of the book, The Power of Permission, How to Set Fire to Your Fears and Sell More. And so today, I'm going to be sharing with you my 3 favorite ways of getting clients. I'm going to be breaking down some things that might be getting in your way. So what I'm going to do right now, we're not going to be doing a lot of posting, but I want to make sure that you guys all know that there is a download for you in the, not the file section, the download is actually in the event. What I'll do is after the session, I will post it in the group so that you can download it. It's something we're going to be referencing today, but I want you to have access to it. So I'm going to leave it up for 30 minutes after we're done with the session, and just like always, whatever gift I give you guys for being live with me goes away 30 minutes after the session is over. So you want to grab hold of that, because what it shows you is what you need to be focused on according to the revenue that you're currently bringing in your business. And I call that your levels of authority. So a lot of times what happens is we see other entrepreneurs and other business owners doing things that are working for them, and we don't take into consideration where we are with our own businesses. And so we're operating outside of the scope of what could actually work for us. And I did this for a very long time. And it wasn't until I got it right that everything shifted for me. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So what I'm going to do right now, so remember to go grab that. So it'll be up whatever time we end. I'll wait 30 minutes. Actually, I'll wait. Usually it's after I pick up my son from school. So I'll pick up my son from school and I'll come back and I'll delete it. Sometimes that's 30 minutes. It might be a little bit longer, but make sure you grab it because it's got some really pivotal information about where you should be focusing on building your business. So let me go ahead and start sharing my slides with you. Screen share. So we're gonna go to here. All right. Oh, I'm all in the middle of this thing. All right. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and make it big. Let's just roll with it that way from the beginning. All right. So again, what I'm sharing with you today is my 3 favorite ways to attract I'm ready to buy premium clients. So I'm gonna be talking a lot about the mindset that you need to have in order to bring these clients into your life. And a lot of times that's really what's going on, more than the to-do step-by-step. It's who you're being that's going to make the difference. So I'm hoping that what I share with you today is going to shift some of those things for you and kind of help you along the way. All right, so I want to make sure that you're in the right place. I know you're invited here. If you're part of my group, I know you're attracted to me for a reason. You resonate with my message, but I also want to make sure that you don't waste your time, because we're going to be here for a couple of hours, right? I'm going to open up the lines later. So if this doesn't fit you, I want to make sure that you can move on with your day and do those income producing tasks that will make a difference for you. But I do appreciate you taking the time to be with me right now, because I know you could be doing anything else. So if you're an up and coming business owner who's making less than 6 figures and you want more in your business, you're in the right place. You have a program already. You're in the process of getting like your first 10 one-on-one clients, or you're starting your first program. You want to get into action and you want to learn what to focus on in order to get clients, then you're in the right place. If you're a seasoned business owner, you've already crossed 6 figures, but you realize that's just a drop in the bucket and you can't wing it anymore. You need to know what to do to stop bumping your head up against your, 4-figure months or 5-figure months, and you would like to do that consistently, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 a month, then you're in the right place, because I'm going to show you some things that you can shift to help you in this area. You love the idea of a challenge. You are ready to get going, and maybe technology is kind of getting in your way right now because you really don't know how to scale what you're doing. If you feel like making money is kind of a mystery to you in your business, like it happens, right? Sometimes, but it's not always consistent. Like if your car broke down tomorrow and you needed to get more clients, you would feel uncomfortable doing it. You don't know how to do it. It's not like the back of your hand. Then if that's you, you're in the right place. If you feel like you don't know where to find more clients, you're in the right place. I'm going to give you where to focus, okay? Because I don't want you to feel powerless in your business like you may be feeling, and you feel like it's time to step into control of making money in your business. No matter what happens, you know all will be well. I want you to know how to create premium paying clients on demand. This is not about you getting a $200 sale here and there, a $500 sale here and there, a $1,000 sale here or there. I want you to know who you need to be being, how you need to show up, in order to attract premium paying clients to you at will, when you want to. I'm teaching you how to fish. This is for you, and you want to stay with me on this call if you already have a program, a service, or product that's ready to offer. If you're still figuring out what you're kind of doing in your business, this might not be the place you want to start. Like, you don't know what you're selling, you don't know how you want to price it. This is, you have an offer, you're ready to go, and you're ready for a challenge, then you're in the right place. Because I'm going to push you over the ledge and say, okay, go do this. You're in the right place if you're a visionary. That's who I attract. Visionaries have big picture thinking, but a lot of times technology is overwhelming because there's lots of little pieces and you don't really know what to do. And so you've gotten stuck in your business looking at the current models of how to do business. You're a visionary if you have this vast knowing that you're meant to serve a lot of people, but right now it's a struggle for you to figure out, like, how do I serve my first 20, 10, and how do I do that consistently? Maybe you've gotten your first 10 clients, but it's not consistent. So I want to show you how visionaries pull everything back and what to focus on to ramp it up so that it becomes comfortable for you to create the income that you need to create, and then you can look at scaling to that bigger vision, to that bigger level. The also thing that I wanted to say about visionaries is you're creative, and so you have a tendency to jump around from thing to thing. I'm saying this because I know that's who I have been in the past. I am a visionary. It's who I am. I have to choose to do something different. So chances are you know exactly what you want to do in your business, but the challenge is actually getting there. If any of those things resonate with you, then I want you to hang tight. I want to grab a pen and paper, because I don't do, feel good types of training. This is no BS, no fluff. I'm going to dive in and give you actionable steps that, if you're willing to move past your discomfort, will get you the result that you're looking for. So here's what I want to share with you. These are the top 3 things that you're probably stuck on. And then I want to show you how you recognize if this is really you and where other ways this might be showing up for you. So you want to get more leads. You want to get more customers coming into your business. You want the right people who understand your value, right? They understand, like, to them, you have Beyonce influence. You're the Christian Louboutin. Everybody wants that. To them, that's how they see you. You want people who get your value and they're willing to pay you a premium to experience it. Or you want your consulting, your coaching, your training programs, your business to command premium prices, right? You want to make sales for $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 or more. It's simple to create $100,000 in a year, but most people get stuck, and we're going to talk about why. And you want it to happen consistently, month in and month out, right? You keep hearing, I'd love to, but I can't afford it. I'm going to give you some shifts today to help you really position yourself. And I think at the end, I didn't really write this in, I'm going to open up and kind of talk about the sales conversation and what that's really about, and a lot of things that I hear going on in the industry right now that are keeping people from doing this on a consistent basis. Right now, you're working way too hard, like set up to sundown, you're grinding, you're like hashtag hustle, hashtag the entrepreneur grind, you're burning yourself out, posting on Facebook, you're networking, live streaming, blogging, doing everything you feel like you need to do. But what you want to know is what actually works to bring in a consistent stream of qualified leads and customers into your business like magic. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you 2 things about that. One, what I'm going to tell you is super simple. What you need to focus on is super simple, because you might have the belief that hard work equals success. You are going to try to make it more complicated. I want you to be aware of that right now. Also, once you learn how to do this, you can do it over and over and over again. Sometimes you just need to switch your focus. So here's my promise to you. I'm going to show you what to do to get a new client in the next 48 hours without tricky technology. I'm also going to show you the 3 common barriers that hold most women back from getting clients right now. And I want you, when I'm going through these barriers, to see how that's showing up for you. And if at the end you want to talk about, how some of those barriers are showing up, we'll probably be able to do a little work around that. But also know that there's an opportunity for you to jump on the phone with me and do some work around some of that stuff. But I'm going to show you what those are. And a lot of times they masquerade themselves as really valid reasons that we tell ourselves that we're not making the money in our business, and we're willing to negotiate and stay in that place for far too long. So I want you to be really hyper vigilant when I get to that section of this training. I'm also going to share with you the 3 things that you need to be clear on before you talk to potential clients and customers, and a simple way to get that clarity. The 3 things you need to be clear on. This is super important. For a lot of you, the lack of this clarity of these 3 things that you need to be clear on is what actually stops you, because the not knowing or the not being confident in it is what stops you from getting on the phone with people. It's what stops you from making offers, and it's what stops you from allowing people to pay you. You guys don't mind getting on the phone with people. You might be coaching people right now, but you're doing it for free. And it's these 3 things that you need to have in place that will help root you in the understanding. It'll open up your capacity to receive, and then root you in the understanding that you have something of value that people are willing to pay you for. You just need to know how to articulate it. And then I'm going to give you the non-negotiable actions you must take now. And I will tell you that when I share these non-negotiable items, I've actually had business owners tell me, I don't want to do that. There's no way you're going to be in business and not do the things I'm sharing with you today. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So if you want to make real money and you want to make more money and you want the confusion to end, this is the place you want to start. Once you get this up and running, then you can maneuver yourself into all the other intricate ways of scaling and building your business that are out there and available to you. So I know you've probably attended a lot of trainings. My trainings are always different. This one is no different. I'm going to dive deep into some things. I'm going to give you some actionable items that you can take. This is not going to be the same old, and a good. Again, I'm not about giving you the feels. I hope you walk away from this inspired, but I hope you more than that walk away from this inspired to take inspired action. How about that? Empowered to take inspired action. So today, I'm going to give you some of the best stuff from my trainings. I have multiple trainings. Actually, we've just made a shift. So my Play Big, Get Paid program is now called The Close. I spent the weekend with my coach. And one of the things that I'm really shifting in this business is people are talking about sales. Like they want you to pretend like sales is something else. They want you to say, hey, sales is service. And while I do feel like I'm serving in sales, sales has been around for a very long time. You calling it something else doesn't make it something else. And so I'm just going to start being really upfront in my branding and in my languaging of my programs of what we're talking about. What I want people to do is master the being and the language of sales, because this is the mastery of a business owner that's going to shift everything for you. It's not your branding. It's not your logo. It's not your program name and title. It's not how cute it all looks. It's not being in the right place with the right people and all of those things. It's your skill set. Again, I'm going to teach you how to fish. And my goal for you today is that you say, oh my gosh, this is some of the best content that I've ever had. And I want you to be ready to implement. Will fear come up? Yes. Fear will masquerade itself as confusion. I don't really know what to do. I don't really know where to start. Be aware of that. Be aware of that and start asking yourself the how. We'll get into that in a second. All right. So again, you want to take action. You're ready. And you have the courage and the capacity to allow people to pay you so that you can collapse your monthly income into a week, a day, or a sale. Think about that. I don't know what your monthly revenue is. I don't care if it's 5,000, 4,000, 10,000, 20,000. What if you could do that in a day? What if you could do it with just one sale? What would that change for you? This is what I'm talking about, and this is what's on the line, and here's what's possible. Here's what's crazy for me. You know, in the mastermind that I'm a part of, in the coaching program that I'm a part of, you know, I don't ever ask my clients or people that I'm leading in my community, in my tribe, to do anything I'm not willing to do. So I'm always stretching myself. And my mastermind that I'm a part of, my peers that I'm working alongside of are doing $100,000 a month. And to me, it's like, whoa, how can I make that happen for myself? Because I'm not there yet, right? So how can I translate the revenue that I make? Some of them are doing multiple $100,000 a month. How can I take what I do in a year and collapse that into a month? And how willing am I to collapse that into a sale? Because I have a colleague who does 100K. One client is 100K to him, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And that's all he talks about, is who he had to become in order to allow that in his life. So I want you to think about your own revenue that you make in a month, in a year. What if you could do that in a week, in a day, or a sale? What would that change for you? And you know that you can do it if you make the decision to. You just need the right steps. I'm going to teach you the strategies today to be able to allow that into your life, but you've got to be more willing to get into the action of it. So here are those roadblocks that I told you about that are usually most common for women, okay? This is what's getting in your way of consistent income. There's so many freaking things to do, right? You got a huge to-do list of all the things you need to accomplish. You have all these big ideas. You got all these projects. And the trouble with that is it's too much. You simply can't do it all. So what you need to do is you need to prioritize what are the things you need to be focusing on every single day. And you need to make decisions about what to do first and what not to do at all. And right now for you, it seems like it's just too hard, it's just too complicated, and this to-do list never goes away. So you stay stuck in the to-do list. Roadblock number 2 is perfectionism. Like, you want to put it out there, but it's got to be good. Like, you don't want to put it out there and people don't like it. And so you're always working on it and you're tweaking it. You're tweaking your sales funnel. You're tweaking the name of your program. You're tweaking the content that's supposed to be in it. And it's cool because you like to have things done right, which is great. Don't get me wrong with that, right? But this is a trait of yours that can end up slowing you down and even paralyzing you. And so what you need to do is keep your standards high, but find a way to relax as you put yourself out there, as you get visible, as you show up in the marketplace, and as you try new things, because that's what it's going to take to get the results you want. You're not going to get the results you want mulling it over in your head. Roadblock number 3 that gets in your way, focusing on the wrong things. And I'm actually going to break this down for you today, which is why I posted those levels of authority to show you where you need to be focusing on your business, depending on where you are, at what level you're at, the amount of revenue that you're bringing in. Where should your focus be? Just because you're busy all day doesn't mean you're doing projects that are going to lead to paying clients. Just because you live stream doesn't mean you're going to get a paying client. Just because you blog doesn't mean that's going to lead to a paying client. I know, ouch. But so-and-so said I need to be live streaming every day in order to get paying clients. That may be true. No, it's not true. I'm not even going to say that's true because I know too many clients, including myself, who have multiple 6-figure businesses or multiple 7-figure businesses who don't do any of those things, right? What you need to do is focus on the right thing. And that's a huge problem among business owners because many of the things that will make you money require you to stretch outside of your comfort zone. And so what we'll tend to do is focus on the things that are comfortable for us and not do the things that necessarily will make us money. It's way easier to sit behind your computer fiddling with this and that than it is to get out there and take the actions that actually quickly lead to paying clients. I want you to let that settle in for a minute. Because this is one of the number 1 roadblocks that I think keeps most people stuck not making money. It's easier to create a pretty new meme. It's easier to post on Facebook and hope somebody's going to see it It's easier to jump behind a camera than it is to get outside of your comfort zone and do the things that will actually help you to make money. So I'm going to say this again. Many of the things that require you, that will make you money, require you to stretch outside your comfort zone. Know that. Write that down. The fourth block that I believe is getting in the way, and this is a bonus block, is the fraud syndrome. And for me, I know this was a huge thing for me when I was stuck. So for those of you who don't know my story, you know, one of the things that happened to me is I had a multiple six-figure business. I ended up losing it all. And because of that loss, I would do busy work. You know, I would be on social media. I would even go to networking event after networking event, but I would never really do the things that would bring me clients. I was secretly repelling clients because I thought they would find out that I lost everything. So fraud syndrome, where you're looking at what other people are doing and comparing yourself and thinking, I'm not this successful, or, oh my gosh, they're going to find out this about me or that about me, or not being willing to allow people to pay you because somehow you feel unworthy of that because maybe they're your first paying client. But here's the deal. You know that your work is worth way more than you're charging for it. But secretly, you're afraid that if you raise your prices, nobody will pay it. And so what happens is you come out into the marketplace, you're whispering, you're offering something for $500 to test the market. And that is literally what's repelling clients who do have the funds to invest and would invest with you. I will tell you story after story of people that I followed on social media because I was interested in them, but they always offered $500 and below programs. I was waiting on them to offer something. And here's the deal. When I work with somebody, I'm investing at a high level for access and for something that I know is going to make a difference in my business. I'm not a $500 and below program investor because I'm beyond that point. I have too many programs I'm invested in already that I have lifetime access to, that I can go back and learn any of the things that are out there on the marketplace. I no longer need to build up that repertoire of material to go back to, especially with the coaching program that I'm in. So when people offer a $500 program, I don't normally jump into that because I know that's just the information stage. It's not actually the stage where it's like, hey, here's how you get the action. So I'm waiting on the higher offer, and the higher offer never comes. I promise you that your clients who have the ability to pay are waiting on you to make that offer to them. I just was part of a post the other day where someone said, hey, for a live event, how much are you willing to pay? And most people were like $249, $349 if it doesn't include the hotel and all of those things. And I just thought, I just paid $1,000 to go spend a day and a half with someone, right? Different, and everybody in the room did, right? So it's just a different level of investment because you're expecting intimacy, you're expecting direct knowledge that affects your business. You don't have to weed through what's for you and what's not. You know that it all is, right? And you know it's going to make a difference to your bottom line because you're making an investment based on ROI. I want you guys to understand that there are people out there just like me that you're not reaching because of this fraud syndrome. Right? You've been looking at other people selling their programs for $5,000, $10,000, $3,000 or more, and you find yourself saying, there's no way anybody's ever going to pay me that. I'm not ready to charge that much. Who am I to charge that much? And so what you're doing is you are whispering in the marketplace. You're loud and proud at the level that you feel that you're comfortable, but you're not really reaching those who will invest because of your own things going on in your head. So here's the deal, you know, everybody wants this laptop lifestyle. And that's great. And it's possible. I know people who sort of live this lifestyle, but what they don't tell you is the backside of that. And this is where your levels of authority come in. So hang with me as I'm talking to you about this because I want you to really get a clear understanding of this. This is so important for you. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So laptop lifestyle means you get to sit on the beach somewhere and you wake up and your inbox is just full of sales. A sale, a sale, a sale, a sale. Everybody's buying your thing. And there's this whole sales funnel and the upsell. And I see people teaching this. But remember, you're visionary and technology is not your jam. So what happens is you're dreaming of the laptop lifestyle and you're frustrated because you're sitting there trying to tweak your sales funnel. And what you're missing is there's more to a sales funnel than just the fact of putting those pages up. There's copy, There's the follow-up. And what they don't tell you is this. So I just had a conversation with one of my colleagues this weekend. And she had a $997 product, and she just had a launch that she did with this whole sales funnel process. She did a Facebook ad into a webinar, and she sold $22,000, right? She sold 22 people into her $1,000 product. And so you see people post this, like, I just did, a Facebook ad to a webinar, and the webinar is now evergreen, so this can happen over and over and over again. But again, there's the copy, there's the strategy, there's the images, there's the follow-up emails, which is where most of the sales happen, and people don't tell you that. That stuff has to be written well with the psychology of buying in mind. That's a learning curve. For me to get where I've gotten this far with copy and languaging has taken me years under the tutelage of my coach, who is a master marketer, who has trained some of the best out there, right? Now, when he reads my stuff, he's like, I don't need to do anything to it. It's perfect. But it's been 6 years, right? They don't tell you that part. The other part they don't tell you, going back to my friend who did the $22,000, this was her first ever, is that she had 1,200 people register for her webinar. How do you think she got 1,200 people to register for her webinar? And I don't remember the numbers of how much she spent in Facebook ads, but I think it was close to like either $3,500 in ads or something like that. Now, would you exchange $3,500 for $22,000? Heck yeah, all day long. If you walked up to me and said, hey, Shamika, here's $3,500. Give me $3,500. I'll give you 22. I would do that all freaking day. Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, doesn't matter. But what most of you don't realize is, well, which the question you're not asking yourself is, do I have that much revenue to put in? Can I do that? And so you're being fed the laptop lifestyle and the sales funnel dream without the full picture of what it takes. Another story. I have someone running Facebook ads for me right now. We're getting ready to start them this week. And she's giving me her testimonials, and there's someone who she worked with who did $100,000 on their launch with them managing the Facebook ads. But the caveat goes back to do that $100,000, they spent $7,500 in Facebook ads. Now, would you exchange $7,500 for $100,000 all day long, even on Sunday, right? But the question you're not asking yourself is, do I have the $7,500? So you're taking your $10 a day budget, your $20 a day budget, your $500, your $200 budget, and you're expecting to make your monthly income or reach enough people because you don't have the whole story. So what do you do in the meantime while you're building up your consistent revenue so that you can get to the point where you can scale up and get to the laptop lifestyle? That's the reality check I want to give you today. You've got to reach a massive number of people, and they're willing to do that to get to the people who are willing to invest in their $10,000 program, their $1,000 program at the click of a button, right? Right off the bat. So instead of spending time on these technology things that make the side of your head feel like it's going to explode, there are other areas and other ways that you can focus your energy in the beginning to build your business. Now, it might not be as comfortable as hiding behind a laptop, but it works. And it works extremely well, and it works very fast. And we're going to start talking about that right now. So here's what you really need to know in order to make this work. And this is where people don't really think about this, because you think, hey, I'm a business owner, I'm in business, I'm just looking for somebody to show up who hears what I have to say and they want to pay me. You got to overcome your fear of charging more and selling high-end programs, right? So that you can get those clients that are willing to invest in you. Get over yourself. There is an uncomfortableness that comes with selling high-end at first. But once you establish yourself as an authority in that space, that fear begins to melt away because it becomes your new normal. You allowing that fear to control you and only charge $500 or $1,000 is like, you're in this conundrum, this ever-ending conundrum where people show up who are price sensitive, who want to talk you out of charging, who want to pick your brain because they're looking for you at that level. When you raise your rates, you repel those people, and then other people open their eyes and go, oh, this is somebody that I need to listen to. So how do you overcome that fear of charging more, of thinking that you need to be the low price leader so you can be accessible to more people? These are all the stories we tell ourselves. You also need to get into a position of opening your capacity to receive. How do you get to the point where you're okay welcoming in $10,000 months, $30,000 months, $50,000 months? There's something called the upper limit. If you haven't read the book, The Big Leap, download it in audio form. That's my favorite way of doing it, or go buy it at Barnes and Nobles or whatever. And it really, really talks about this really well. The upper limit is the place that you're comfortable receiving and having money. And what happens is when you bump your head against it, when you reach it, you will sabotage yourself and things will explode into your life. So you go right back down to where you're comfortable. Hear me when I say that again. When you hit your upper limit, so let's say somebody does pay you $10,000 to work with you, you'll find a way to make that explode. This is why lottery winners tend to be broke within 3 years of winning the lottery, no matter how much money they have. Having this awareness allows you to work through how the upper limit shows up for you. This is how you sabotage yourself. People say, hey, I want to work with you. And if you perceive them at a higher level than somebody you're willing to work with, you won't return that phone call. You won't schedule the appointment. You'll have the conversation, but you won't ask for the sale because you're bumping up against your own upper limit. So how do you position yourself where you open your capacity to receive? What you say with your mouth that you want to have higher end clients that pay you, and you're tired of people showing up that don't have the money, who say they can't afford it. But then when an opportunity comes, you avoid it. Okay, this recently happened to me this weekend. So I'm in a room where I am like the lowest revenue generating person in the room. So everybody is either six figures, or they're 7 figures or multiple 7 figures in the room. And I do my genius talk, which we all got 10 minutes to talk. And somebody reaches out to me and they say, hey, I want you to come speak to my group because more people need to hear what you have to say on this subject. I take mental note of it and I'm telling myself, okay, I'm going to follow up with her. So day 2 rolls around, and finally towards the end, she comes to me. She goes, I don't know if you heard me, but I told you that I wanted you to come speak to my group. I said, yeah, I heard you. I was going to follow up to you. She was like, this is how it's done. Right? And I realized in that moment that I had hit my own upper limit, and I was almost about to sabotage an opportunity to get myself in front of thousands of people with a endorsement from somebody who is like the endorser of endorsers in the online business industry. What's your upper limit, and how are you bumping up against that? Okay. The other thing is, you don't have a predictable process for annihilating things like I can't afford it and other excuses before the people even get on the phone with you. Here's what I want you guys to know as we move through this training. I think people look at sales in the wrong way. When people get on the phone with you, here's a powerful shift I want you to have. If I'm taking my time to schedule an appointment, I've already decided that I want to work with you. I'm going to say that again. Think about it. Anytime you've gotten on the phone with somebody, you've gone, you know what? I think this person can help me. This is the person that I need to help me. Whatever comes up on that conversation, you're really hoping that they help walk you through the process of finalizing that decision with a commitment. And what's the commitment? Money. Put your money where your mouth is, right? Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. If you can shift and understand that your marketing that you do, your visibility that you do prior to anybody showing up, is the thing that weeds out the people that you don't want. So instead of trying to please everybody, what you should be letting your marketing do is work in reverse for you. When people get to my sales page, my application page for my strategy session, and they read through it, I know for a fact a lot of people turn away. They're like, I'm not ready. I recently just invited somebody to a sales conversation because I wanted, not a sales conversation, but I just wanted to work with them on something. And it wasn't going to be a sales conversation. And that's the only link I could find. So I said, hey, I'm sending you this, just put whatever in the application or whatever. I didn't really say that. I said, I'm sending you the link. They went to the link and turned away. A couple of days passed by and I'm like, how come you didn't do it? I don't want to waste your time, is what they said. Because I understand that my marketing that I do, whether it's a Facebook post, whether it is a live stream or whatever I do, it's not about content, content, content. It is, but there's strategy behind that. So that when somebody jumps through all of those hoops, they already have made the decision that you are the person they want to work with. I want you to shift this and understand that when someone takes the time to put you on their calendar, they're there because they believe you can help them. Your job is to walk them through their own upper limits and their own beliefs to get them to make the commitment. You also need a repeatable go-to strategy for turning prospects into happy clients within 48 to 72 hours without spending countless hours. So how can you walk somebody from hello to buy, B-U-Y, within 72 hours without spending all this time on Facebook and blogging and networking? You've got to have a repeatable strategy to do this. And most don't. You're just hoping people are going to say, hey, I want to work with you. And you're not thinking about it in this much detail. And what I'm going to share with you today is the secrets that have my clients achieving sustainable success. And this is something, the things that I'm sharing with you today are things that people aren't really talking about, right? They've got you guys in this consumer mentality, buy this thing, buy this thing, buy this next thing. Right? And this is going to be for you if you've already tried mindset courses, manifest courses, right? But you're still frustrated with feast or famine. These are the shifts that you're going to need to make. So this is a pretty popular meme of mine that I use, and I want you guys to listen to this again. Words convey what you think, but actions demonstrate what you believe. When you hit your upper limit, and you decide to do something counterintuitive, you have an entire sales conversation with someone who says they want to buy from you, and then you don't ask them to give you their credit card number, there's something going on with your belief system. You decide to get off the phone and send them an invoice. There's something going on with your belief system. So you can say that you want the clients all that you want. What are your actions demonstrating for you? They're showing you where your beliefs are not aligned with what your mouth is saying. The most important thing you need to succeed is belief. That's the most, not, oh, I believe in myself. It is this undeniable confidence in your program to get the result and in yourself to show up for people in what you do, that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that when they make that investment, you can help them get the results. If they do the work, if they show up, right? No doubt in your mind, like they would be crazy to tell you no. And if you truly believe, like I said, at your very core that something is possible, everything else flows from there. The confidence flows from there. The action flows from there. The execution flows from there. And the clients flows from there. When this belief, which is the secret sauce to it all, put it on everything you do. Your confidence in what you do will sell more than any strategy that you put out there. Any belief in a strategy or some person you deem as a guru telling you this is the way that you should do it. Again, when you believe from your very core that something is possible, whether it's your 50K month, whether it's your $10,000 sale, or just getting clients consistently who are willing to invest, everything else flows from that space. But when your belief is not in alignment, your actions are not in alignment. And so you don't have the confidence. You don't take the necessary action. You are not executing. You are busy, but you are not executing. And therefore, you end up with no clients. I'm going to say this again because I say it often, but I think people just think, oh, well, I believe in myself. I believe I can help people. It's a visceral belief. This is the secret sauce, people. I'm going to say it one more time. Put it on everything. So your focus and what you focus on is the most important thing. You need to be focusing on activities that are going to bring you clients in the fastest amount of time with the least amount of learning curve. And a lot of times we focus on all those other technological kind of things because we think those are the things that legitimize us. We believe that if we don't have those things in place, people aren't going to see us as an expert and authority. And I know there are people out there teaching that you need to have a website, but I have to tell you that my coach, who is a multi-7-figure business owner and has been for many, many years, for well over a decade in this marketing space, online marketing space, didn't have a website for probably half the time I coached with him. And then when he did, it was the ugliest thing ever. He's only just recently changed his website to have any kind of brand cohesiveness or anything to it. So that stuff is not true, that you need to have a site for people to go to, you know, in order for them to valid. I mean, having a website doesn't make anybody a valid business owner. People throw up, you know, fake websites all the time and take advantage of people all the time. What people want to know is that you can help them and that you can support them. And here's the mindset shift, right? People on a lower level who are only willing to invest, let's say, under $1,000 or whatever, they will use that as an excuse for you, but you got to be able to recognize truth from fiction. People at a higher level have this belief: if you can demonstrate authority in an area and demonstrate that you not only have produced the result, that you can produce the result, they're willing to make the investment. Like this, they don't care if you know how to walk on water, if you showed other people how to do it and you can show them how to do it. That's all they care about. It's the bottom line and the result. That's why you have to be selling something that you are supremely confident about. Everybody take a deep breath. Here's what I want you to know. So Todd Henry, the author of Die Empty, said this: you absolutely cannot pursue greatness and comfort at the same time, love. You get up every day and you do what's comfortable for you. Sitting at your computer makes you feel comfortable that you're doing work that's going to bring you clients. You're like, I put in the work, it's going to come eventually. And it doesn't matter that you're spending hours upon hours doing stuff that won't affect your bottom line, but you're comfortable in that space of saying, hey, I got up, I went to my office. I got up, I went to my computer. You cannot pursue greatness and comfort at the same time. And I totally agree with this. Because your huge success, your ideal high-paying clients are on the other side of your comfort zone. Even in the conversation, the question I always ask my clients to ask themselves in the conversation when you're talking to someone is, are you willing to be even more uncomfortable than they are to get them to commitment? To get them to put their money where their mouth is? Or are you more committed to your comfort than their transformation? You cannot pursue greatness and comfort at the same time. You must get uncomfortable. When you look back over your life, the moments you will likely be most proud of are the ones where you stepped out of your comfort zone in pursuit of something you believe in pursuit of something bigger than yourself. Every conversation that I come to with a person, I engage or activate my belief in them, my belief in the vision and the legacy they want to use for their family, the vision they have for themselves, their life, the vision that the business is going to create on their behalf. And I step outside of my comfort zone in pursuit of that truth for them. Are you willing to be even more uncomfortable than they are? And so what this is going to take for you is to dust off all the shoulda, couldas. You need to have this and you need to have that, and get really clear on what your goal is and really specific on what your goal is and execute like that. So, you know, I have this 100K first quarter goal. My goal is to make $100,000 by April 15th. And so I have to get with my coach and break it down, right? So I made multiple six figures in a year, but I've never made 100,000 in a quarter. So I was like, that's something that I would love to do. I've done it in 6 months, right? I've done it in a year, but I've never done it in a quarter. So I thought, here's the goal I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for 100K. So I'm calling my 100K slay. And we broke it down, right? It's not just like every day wake up, make some money and hope I get to 100K. We had to look at, we broke it down to a specific program that I wanted to focus on, what the dollar amount investment of that program is, how many people I need to enroll in it, and then how many conversations that it would take. So now that we're doing my Facebook ads, we know that we're trying to generate 47 conversations for me over the next 90 days. 47 conversations. That's all I need to make this goal work. You have to be clear and specific. You cannot just wake up every day and say, I'm a business owner, I'm in business, let me live stream, let me blog post, and you're not really clear where you're going. Like, I need to make money. As long as I make some money and get a client. Get a client and make some money is not a clear and specific goal. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you, what is it that you want? Right? And once you know what that clear and specific goal is, so I know it's 100K by April 15th. I gave a date, right? It's clear, it's specific. Now my action plan breaks that down, so I know what it's going to take for it to happen. I know how many sales conversations I need to create and have over that time. This informs everything I do. It informs my marketing. It informs my level of activity, because everything is focused to this one goal. And then you need to get out of your own freaking way. Stop sabotaging yourself. So here's my question to you. And if you got a pen and paper, I really want you to write this down. And I'm not going to give you a ton of time to do it right now. Once we get off this call, you can go back and revisit this question, because I think this question is really important. What do you really want this year? What do you really want? And when I thought about what I really want this year, is I need more people to know that they really have the power to create the life that they desire through their business. I need more people to know that you make your own rules. It's not the way some guru tells you to do it. Decide what works well for you. What I really need people to know is that pretending like sales isn't sales is killing their bottom line. What I really want this year is to blow my own freaking mind with my business. What do you really want this year? Like, really, really want, not what you think you should have to prove something to other people, but what do you really want this year? Not next year, not in 5 years or 3 years. What do you truly want? Not what you think you should have. I remember a time I'd be like, I want to make $1 million in a year. That's really not what I want. And when I say I want to blow my mind, yeah, I want to blow my own freaking mind in revenue, but I also want to blow my mind in how I show up. I want to blow my mind in how I call my clients higher. I want to blow my mind by setting these crazy, ridiculous revenue goals and blowing it out of water every single time. It's gonna call me higher and cause me to be even more uncomfortable. Get outside of my own comfort zone. What do you really want this year? This is important. And for a lot of you, this is why you don't have the desires of your heart. Because you're settling, or your goals that you're setting for yourself are not your own. They're someone else's, or they're to prove something to somebody else. It ain't about them. What do you want? She who challenges herself to make more money will make it. And here's the caveat to that. So long as you stay in action, no matter what. So long as you stay in action, no matter what. So here's the thing. I thought it was high time for me to give you the kick in the pants that you've been looking for. It's time out for just waking up and doing business as usual. Every day you need to challenge yourself. And if you wake up one day and you feel like you're in the mediocre zone again, you need to connect and re-engage your battle cry. Battle cry doesn't mean go hog wild just being busy, busy, busy. Sometimes you got to step back and stop doing crap. I had a really bad fear of missing out during the month of December. You know, even though I was making money and creating clients during that time, so many people were live streaming. And what I've been noticing is people are like live streaming and working on their businesses 7 days a week, where they weren't doing that anymore. They're in their groups on Sunday nights. Sunday nights I spend with my family. And I had to get with myself and shut down that voice that said I was missing out on something, possible clients, by not doing that stuff. I'm challenging myself to rise to my own greatness, but I also am very clear on what I want. And what I don't want is a grinding business, because I grinded for the first half of my life, trying to prove to people that because I was a teenage mom didn't mean I was a loser, which is why I have multiple degrees, which is why I had earned 6 figures before I was even 30 years old. Before I was 26 years old, I'd already earned 6 figures. And just like that, that was gone. That's not the person I want to be. I don't want to be that person who had multiple degrees and didn't even walk. It took an instructor to say, you know, you robbed your family of the ability to celebrate that with you, because I was so focused on accomplishing that I wasn't smelling the roses. I wasn't celebrating my steps. I achieved so many things that I just washed over as, oh, like, this is what I do. That's not the life I want to live. So you got to be clear. How do you want to live? Right? This isn't about me having the laptop lifestyle. This is about my values being aligned with the business model that I create for myself. And here's where most of you might get stuck. You know, I did see a couple of posts about this. So the thing that you feel like you should be doing is out of alignment with your values. And so guess what? You hit your upper limit and you sabotage yourself because you don't really want to do that, even though you feel like it's the thing that you need to do in order to make business happen for yourself. So how can you create a business model that supports your value system and still allows you to make the kind of money that you want to make without being in delusion, right? We don't want to be delusional here. So let's get real about why people aren't buying from you. It's not really because of your pricing. I mean, even that can have some elements to do with who shows up and doesn't show up, but it's not that, you know, you need to be more known, you need to have a huge, more client base, you need to be seen as this or that. These are really the reasons why. This is how people see you. So you've got to do things to elevate yourself, position yourself in a different way. So either people aren't buying from you because they just see you as their peer. They think you are like right on their level, right? Or they see you as an expert, somebody they would go to, pick their brain. You know a lot about a lot of things, but they don't see you as a trusted authority. Like when E.F. Hutton speaks, people listen, right? They don't see you as a trusted authority. So what happens is in the way that you language what you do, whether it's inviting somebody to a conversation to explore it deeper, how you post on your social media, how you invite people to attend your social media events, how you talk about what you do and communicate with people when you network. How can you position and talk about what you do in a way that people not only get it, but they're willing to pay you a premium to experience it because they view you as a trusted authority. When you try to sell people in your marketing, whether it's at a networking event and you're trying to close the sale and convince them how excited you are to work with them and how you can help them, you go down a notch in authority. Because people who are trusted authorities are not thirsty. They're not usually all over social media begging people to work with them, right? They come on when they have something to say of value and they make whatever offer they're going to make, whether that's to a conversation, whatever they do, there's a strategy behind it. So how can you slow yourself down to the point where everything you do has a purpose and a strategy so that you're positioning yourself as an authority, not somebody that's posting in all these groups and doing all this stuff because you need clients. And literally, I'm telling you, there's a conversation happening in the multi-six-figure, multi-million-dollar circle where this is how they see what's happening. You know, it's like knowing someone who's going to shop at Nordstrom's against somebody who's going to shop at let's just use Target and Walmart, right? So Target wanted an upper level upscale buyer, And they wanted to distance themselves from like the Walmart type stores. And so what Target did is they took the cents or the, the decimal points after the dollar amounts off of their pricing. So their pricing's $9, $27. You'll never see a $27.99 or a $9.99 in Target. Why? Because bargain shoppers, like people who shop at Walmart, which I shop at Walmart, but I'm just telling you the psychology of buying. Bargain shoppers look for those kind of things. Well, they didn't want to attract that kind of person. So think about it. When you go to a high-end restaurant, there's either two things that you see in a high-end restaurant. There's three things. Either the price isn't on there at all because it's really high-end and they know people who can afford it don't care, right? And you would start panicking if that's not you. But if that is you, you expect that. And so you're more likely to frequent that place. Or it's written out, $22, actually the words written out, right? Or it's $22, $50, $100, $75 with no decimals at the end. But if you go to Denny's, right, or some other mom and pop kind of place, it's like, yeah, the fish is $7.99, right? And so some of these buying triggers are things that you're missing to elevate yourself to trusted authority. Do you notice that a lot of the people that you follow that you might call gurus, their 8-week courses are thousands of dollars? And on the low end, I would say the average amount of a low-end course is $1,000. A 30-day course or 8-week course that you don't even have access to anybody in. But if we move out of that circle and come down a few levels, now you've got your couple of $100, $500. This is your difference between your high-end buyers, attracting your high-end buyers and attracting your low-end. And that's just on the pricing spectrum. So there are several triggers for attracting premium buyers to see people to see you as a trusted authority. As a trusted authority. That's just one of them. Positioning yourself as such. When you show up to your conversations, are you having a conversation about yourself and how much, you know, and trying to get them to like you and become your friend? Or do you take the position of diagnosing their problem and prescribing the solution for it? Not, hey, well, I have this program, I want you to buy it. No, here's the course of action that I believe you should take next. And then partnering with them to help them make the commitment through any objections that may come up with them. Because here's what I want you to know, objections are not real. Because again, anybody who takes the time to get on the phone with you have already made a decision that you can somehow help them. Now they need assistance with their own upper limits, their own comfort zone, and committing and trusting themselves with that commitment. When you go to the doctor's not showing you all of his credentials. He's not like, here's my, graduation certificate from the doctor, and, here's this and here's that. You come in, he assumes his position as a trusted authority. He asks you questions, you tell him the problem. So here's a shift you can make in your conversations with people, whether it's in networking, whether it's even in your social media. You're not trying to get buy-in from people. You're telling people, hey, here's the problem as I see it, and here's what needs to be done. So how do people see you? So here's the question I want you to ask yourself. Where do you really need to focus when it comes to making money in your business? And I'm going to borderline answer this question for you, even though you may have a thought in your mind. You're like, oh, I need to blog more. Oh, I need to post more frequently on social media. You need to focus on having conversations with people. At the level that most of you guys are at, and I'm going to show you in a second what that looks like based on the handout that I posted, which, by the way, I will post again at the end of this conversation, but it will go down. It will be taken down within 30 minutes of the call, okay? Where do you really need to focus is, for most of you, All of your activity needs to lead with booking appointments on your calendar. That's the thing that matters most, is having conversations with people to move them into the commitment level of yes. If you flip-flopped and spent most of your time generating appointments and delivering those appointments, you could literally almost stop doing everything else unless it was driving people to your appointments and make more money than you're making right now, waking up every day, sitting at your computer and going through your to-do list. But guess what's more comfortable? Going through your to-do list. The best of the best of the best that I know in business have become masterful at sales conversations, of getting over themselves, their own crap in their head, and moving people through this transformation, through the commitment. And for a lot of you, you don't even have to be masterful. You just need to position yourself differently when you have the conversations and focus on actually getting them. I talk to people all the time. They're like, I'm not making the money I need to make. And I'm like, okay, well, how many sales conversations have you had in the last 6 months? They're like, 2. Well, therein lies your problem. Can you get some people on your calendar? You've only asked 2 people and you got 1 sale. Well, you're at 50%. You know, the same thing with like getting people to your events or making offers from the stage. Like I'll ask people, like, how many people have you asked? They're like 6. How many people said yes? 5. Well, your numbers are great. So do more of that. But instead we look at the outcome. We're like, I only have 5 people coming. Well, out of the 6 people you asked, 5 said yes. Remember the whole conundrum I told you about the sales funnel, where people show you the laptop lifestyle and the end result, but they're not telling you how many people they reach. And those percentages are really low. It's like 1% of the people. I think the one that I told you that did the $22,000, her webinar was converting at either 3% or 6%. So think about you and your itty bitty budget, or how many people you get on your webinars or your live streams. And let's say you had, 15 people on a live stream and 1 person applied for an appointment, and you're beating yourself up. Your numbers are higher than theirs. That percentage is way high, which means what you do works. You're just focusing your activities in the wrong place. Do more of what works. All right, so actually I don't know how I did that. Okay, so level 1, this is gonna show you where you need to, so I blew this up so it's a little grainy, but this is gonna show you where you need to focus, okay? So if you're making under $4,000 a month, my suggestion to you is to focus working with people one-on-one, right? But the things you need to be focusing on is you need to have 2 programs, not 4 or 5, right, that you can offer people. So your highest end program that you have at that time, so let's say that's a $10,000 program, and then maybe have a no-brainer offer, a $1,000 program or something like that. I'm just making this up, right? So you have 2 programs. The focus is on the $10,000 program. That's where you're trying to get people into. If they don't qualify for that, then you have this other offer to fall back on, right? You need to name your sales conversation something that has a benefit to it, so that as you invite people into it, and give it a value, people see value in that, right? And then you need to use level 1 lead generation systems. And what is level 1 lead generation systems? And I'm going to share with you what those are today when we get to the end, which are my 3 top ways for getting clients. And this is where people get stuck in the beginning, because they're trying to follow a model that they're not ready for yet, right? And then start collecting freaking testimonials, because this is the authority building thing that works the most. Again, remember I told you, people don't care if you know how to do said thing if you've shown other people how to do it, right? If you can prove that you can get the results, they're all in. They'll make the investment as long as they can get a return on investment back. So become a collector of testimonials at this level. And then your highest skill set focus at this point is closing the deal, practicing having sales conversations. So you need to be putting people on your calendar. That's your focus. Everybody you talk to, whether you meet them networking, Whether you meet them online, it's always an invitation to put them on your calendar. That's the strategy. That's the strategy. In our minds, I think we're trying to close sales from our marketing, but our marketing is there to weed out people who are not qualified and to entice those who are qualified, to let them know, here's how I can support you. And to make that invitation, you need a call to action. So you don't need like a membership program and something else. You need two programs that you can focus on, one being the number one focus and the other one being the default to offer people if they're not ready for that program. And that's it. And you're not looking to like every conversation you have, try to sell people into your program. Every conversation you have, every interaction with people is to get your calendar booked. Because the more you do that, the more you will sell. You'll get clients way faster. Let me go back to two. I put these out of order, so there we go. So level 2. So once you're hitting consistent $4,000 a month, then you can start adding like a membership program or a program that takes multiple people into the program. And you know what? There is a way that I can work with my clients to create a like an evergreen sort of group program so that it doesn't matter how many people you have in it. You can still maximize your time, but in the very beginning, just go after like some clients that are willing to invest and do something like a VIP day. So once you do $4,000 to $12,000 a month on this area, this is when you want to start looking at, how do I put a group program together? How do I get more people into the room? Right? And what you really want to start doing with your sales conversation is focusing on, how can I up my sales skills and being present in that conversation enough to get, let's say 8 to 10 or 7 out of the 10 people I talk to say yes to your programs. You're going to skyrocket your income, right? And this is about you being, right? At this point, when you're doing a consistent $4,000 a month, then you can start doing online, creating an online program and adding some of the technology into what you're doing. Creating a simple website that's 1 page or 3 pages. But before you are making consistently $4,000 a month, all of that stuff is just you masking the fear that you have of getting with people and being comfortable in that wake up in the morning and let me do my checklist. Then you can start using your email marketing and doing autoresponders and all of those things, but not until you have consistent $4,000 a month lined up. Other than that, you're focusing on connecting with people and having conversations. I hope this is helping and supporting you guys and showing you something about where you might have a hole in what you're in your client getting strategy. Okay, again, you have this and you have it all the way up into like building your legacy. I gave you the entire thing. I'll post it again in the main group and I'll leave it up for 30 days. You have the full, there's like 6 levels or something like that I have, 5 or 6 levels. Most of you guys are in level 1 and 2, and that's why I'm here. I don't think that I'm currently attracting people who are above the level 2 grade. It happens every once in a while, but I offer a different service to them, right? So those clients engage me on a different level to help them, support them in their sales. So print this out and look at it. So when you get this, you're gonna focus on the actions that you need to take that's actually gonna lead you to new clients instead of just keeping you busy and stressed out and feeling like you're working all the time and not getting any result. And what happens is this circular motion happens and you start to lose confidence because you feel like you're doing the work, but you're not getting a result. And then you start telling yourself that you suck, that you're not good at it, that people don't want to buy. And verbally with your mouth and with your demeanor, you're pressing through and trying to say, you know what, I'm gonna just keep pushing, I'm gonna just keep going. But your psychological, what's happening in your subconscious is that you suck. No one's gonna buy from you. And it starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So when you get what I'm saying right, you'll start to let go of those actions and projects that you're working on that are not gonna lead you to new clients right now. You focus on what's important. And what's important is your calendar. It's having the conversations with people to get them to the level of commitment. And what happens is life gets simpler for you. You don't feel overwhelmed. You don't feel like you're on the grind. You're not like, who's up at 2 a.m. working on their sales funnel because I got big plans, right? Because you're clear on what you need to do right now to bring in clients. And you're focusing on only that until you reach that 4K to 10K level. When you start to master this authority positioning also, you stop taking on that, you stop taking no personally. So when people tell you no, you understand they're not saying no to you. They're saying no to the commitment that they said they wanted for themselves. And it's easier for you to have those conversations. When you're all in your head and you're all focusing on, how you look and, whether or not your brand looks great and how people like you and all of those other things, and you're not focusing on being the authority, like a doctor could care less whether or not you like him. If you have cancer, he's going to tell you have cancer and here's what you need to do. Then you start to stop taking no personally, and you don't have this apprehension of having these conversations like, what do I say? How do I say it? What if they tell me no? Because you understand that you are the bridge that's going to get them across the gap or the divide that they currently have to what it is they say they want and where they currently are residing. You'll stop seeing failure as a reason to stop taking action. You're like, oh, well, one person told me no. Again, how many sales conversations have you had in 6 weeks? 2. And one said yes and one said no. So the first one said yes, you got excited. The next person said no, you just stopped. Oh, I don't want to have those conversations anymore. I want to, do the laptop lifestyle. You want to go on a learning curve that it causes you to need to know copywriting, technology with sales funnels, your email client system, copywriting for email newsletters, and the psychology of how to get people to click through and how all of those works. You want to try to compress that into a year, 30 days, and most without making a real investment in having somebody who really knows how to guide you in doing it. You just want to, couple of $100 course that you think is going to teach you how to do that. A skill set that's taken some people, decades to learn, to master. You're trying to master that or use that strategy to build your business because that's easier, because you don't want to fail. You stop seeing failure as a result of some personal flaw that you have. What did I do wrong? And you realize that failure is just feedback. It tells you what's the next maneuver you need to make. It tells you what your clients won't want or don't want. It tells you what's working and what doesn't work to connect with your tribe. It also is an indication that you are moving forward. And then what will happen is you will create a working relationship with the things that absolutely freaking scare you. Because you understand that it is in that relationship that your growth, that your 6-figure year, your 6-figure months are tied into that. And you're super clear that getting out of your comfort zone is what leads to cash. I'm going to say that again. When you get this, you become super clear that getting out of your comfort zone is what leads to cash. And you'll make more money, and you'll have more time off, and you'll have a support system that picks you up when you're feeling down, right? Because remember, when you're not feeling it, you're supposed to engage more, not go hide in a corner and suck your thumb because you're on that looking good plan. And you feel like when I pull myself out of it, then I'll tell everybody what was going on. Well, it's too late then. You're starting all over by that point. And then you'll do whatever it takes to reach your goals. And that is what's going to make you an unstoppable force, a force to be reckoned with, a power player. The other stuff is you BSing yourself. And I'm not about that life. I'm not going to let you go out like that. You'll feel powerful. You'll feel in control of your financial future because you know you create it. You need to make money. You know exactly what to do that. You can take care of yourself and you take care of your family. And you can do whatever you want, the way you deeply want to do it, if you're willing to be even more uncomfortable. So here's what I shared with you so far, and I'm going to go through those 3 marketing strategies. I showed you what to do to get a client in the next 48 hours without the tricky technology and the common barriers that hold women back from getting clients now. The 3 things you need to be clear on before you talk to potential customers. Actually, let me be really clear with what that is and a simple way to get that clarity. So you need to know what you do and be able to communicate the result that you get in a way that people not only get it, but they're willing to pay you a premium to experience it. You need to be clear on what your 2 programs are that you're going to be offering and how people will pay you for that. Right? So once you have those things in place, you can run with it. There's nothing else that you need. And you need to be clear on what your goal is. What's your goal and what's going to take you to get there? So clear on what you do and how to say it so people get it. They know you're the go-to person for this thing. Not this pretty little cutesy way of saying it that you think, makes you sound special, but so that they get it and they're like, I need that. How do I invest? Even if they feel like I got to save the money to do it, how do I invest in that? Right? Clear on what your programs are and what you're offering and how you're going to receive payment for that, what that looks like. Is there a payment breakdown? How much does it cost? Clear what those 2 programs are. So that when you actually invite somebody in, you're very clear where you're leading them through, not making up something on the fly based on what you think they can afford. Okay? And then you understand that the non-negotiable actions that you must take now to get what you want. This is where confusion stops. The non-negotiable actions are invite people to have conversations with you. In the beginning, that's the important thing. If you're not making $4K a month right now, you're not making $10K a month right now, this is where you need to start. Everything else is a distraction. So these are my top 3 ways, and I'm actually going to break this down. So I'm going to stop sharing real quick. Hey guys. All right, so my top 3 ways, and I'll put them back up again so that you guys can see them. I just need to pull this away. So the number 1 way for you to be able to get yourself out there and connect with people, and remember, it's all about strategy, right? This isn't about you doing stuff to just be doing. I think we've become way too comfortable with doing things for the sake of doing it. And it's the employee mentality. Most of us didn't start off being an entrepreneur or a business owner. We come out of, in society, in school, we're like, go to school every day, you spend your hours in school, bide your time, do your homework, you get your diploma. And so we bring this, and you get a job. So you go get a job, and as long as you sit at your desk every day at your job and you spend your time, payday's coming every 2 weeks, every Friday, every month. You can count on that. It's guaranteed. And so we bring this posture into the business world. But here's the deal, love. If you're in business, you're in sales. There's nothing you can do about that. If you are in business, you are in sales. In fact, Robert Kiyosaki, who is the author of the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, said this: the most valuable skill, or the number 1 skill that you need to have as a business owner, is sales. And if you cannot sell, don't bother becoming a business owner. And I know people think this is something that you can outsource, and you can if you have the revenue to do that. But really, you must learn how to master this skill set. This is the number 1 thing that you should be doing every day. You are your own salesperson every single day. This is the most important thing. It's not your brand, right? It's not your website. It's not your pretty business card, because you can generate hundreds of leads. And I know people who have to because they suck at sales. I saw a Facebook ad the other day, like, what did it say? Would you like to find out how I generated 700 strategy sessions, discovery sessions in the last 30 days? No, boo. I'm not trying to have 700 strategy sessions. I'm not trying to kiss frogs. I would rather have marketing that weeds out the 600 people you shouldn't have been talking to in the first place. But because you suck at sales, you have to do that. I don't want that for you. I don't want that for you. So it's not just about getting up every day and doing the action, right? It's about the strategy behind the action. So remember, everything you do at the level that you're at right now, if you're under $10,000 a month, if you're under $5,000 a month, technology shouldn't really be a part of anything that you're doing. It should barely be a part of it. Meaning you send an email manually, like you're not trying to do sales funnels and autoresponders. Everything should be high touch, high engagement. And here's the number one reason why. Because in high touch, high engagement, nobody else is doing that. That's a way for you to separate yourself. You know, the other day, my friend, and I'll tell you who he is because I think it's worth watching what he's doing. His name is Shannon Graham. Shannon's program is $100,000 a year. For $100,000 a year, you come to his house, you spend privately once a quarter, 3 days with him at his home working on your business. That's it. There's no modules. There's no coursework. There's no, phone calls. I mean, I'm pretty sure he'll pick up the phone if they need something. But realize people that are investing at that level, they're probably busy CEOs, busy high-level professionals, whoever you're working with. They usually only want you for when they need something, right? So he has a $100,000 program. So this is what Shannon did. He did a post, like other people do posts on social media, and he said, hey, here's what's going on in the marketplace, and here's what I think needs to be done about it. And I want to do a Facebook Live training about that. If you want in, comment, Shannon is my homeboy. So everybody's commenting, Shannon is my homeboy. I'm pretty sure it was like 30 people. So the next thing I know, within like 24 hours, Shannon, because he knows pretty much everybody who's on his page, is in my inbox with a video message. Remember, high touch, high engagement. You're trying to do what the masses do. When the masses bob, you need to be weaving. He's in my inbox with a video message to me. He's like, hey, Shamika, remembering where we first connected, laughing with me about some things that we've talked about before, and saying, hey, I'm really glad you responded, for this thing that I want to do. It's going to be on Friday. He still didn't give me any details about, he's probably going to send the links out on Friday. But he did this for each and every person, as well as responding to each and every person's post. You've got to look different than everybody else to make this work. And how it works in this low touch, high tech society is for those of you who don't have the $7,500 to spend on your marketing to mass market to all these people and bring in the number of people you want to bring in to make your 100K off that launch, is you've got to go high touch, high engagement. Remember what I said about being willing to be more uncomfortable, right? While it's great to eventually get to the laptop lifestyle, how's that working out for you right now? Right? So let's make a shift. Let's make a commitment to do something different. So my 3 strategies are high touch, high engagement. And the follow-up that's required after that is also high touch, high engagement. Remember that Robert Kiyosaki quote, if you're not willing to do these things, you probably should just go get a job, because you're a salesperson, right? You just are. You're selling your business. You're selling your services to people. So the first one is networking, okay? So remember, there's a strategy behind it. You're not just going out networking and spewing what you have over everyone. You need to have a focused goal every time you go into a networking event. And there's different types of networking that you can do. So there's networking where you belong to a group and you network on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, and it's set for that group. And those are great to get some connections and business partners out of and people referring on your behalf. But they're not the kind of place that you want to do what we call snipering, which is like zoning in to find clients. And that's the mistake that most people make, is they go to those kind of events hoping that everybody in that room will become a client, and then they get discouraged when they don't. You got to have a strategy behind it. You want 6 degrees of separation. You want those people introducing you to their network. So when you talk and you talk about what you do, how do you position yourself so they're inviting you to speak, connecting you to people who want you to speak, saying, hey, I know somebody you need to meet. That's what you want. And if that's happening to you, then your networking is successful, right? Because now you're getting your calendar, go in talking to them about how you can solve their problem, right? You're not looking for clients in the room. necessarily. Will they come? Yes. Okay. So remember, I just did one where I got invited to speak to somebody who is a huge influencer, right? Because it was a small group of people. It happened before. I was invited to be a part of a small group of movers and shakers in the online community world. It was only 40 of us in the room. I believe it's 40. Might have been less than that. There was a lot of business done that day. We didn't do business in the room, but we made connections knowing that we were going to support each other at each other's events, speaking on each other's stages, all of that stuff. Me helping people with their sales at their events, things like that. Because it was small and intimate, and we were there for 3 days. So I walked in that room a stranger. The only people that I really knew were the person who was sharing with you that story. Because with the right strategy in mind, understanding that that's a place where you come in, you connect, and you serve, and you demonstrate your expertise at every moment that you have without strings attached. So whenever somebody had a question about something and I knew I had something of value to give, I gave it. I also participated fully. So anytime the mic was open for me to go speak in front of the entire group so they could see who I am and how I behave, just so they can get to know me, right? I go to the microphone, I share my business, I share what I do, I ask my questions, right? It's not just about demonstrating my knowledge at the microphone. I'm giving respect to the person who's putting on the event, saying, how can you speak into my business? That willingness to be open like that shows something about you. See, we're so committed to the looking good plan that when Q&A time comes, we want to sit quietly in the background. When you make yourself seem like that, other people see you and they go, okay, well, if that person can't help me, maybe she can. Okay. So multi-day events allow you to get to know people. I have lifelong relationships with people that have been built over 3 days that are now my good friends that we haven't probably even seen each other. Actually, I saw somebody I met in 2012 at a 3-day event, and we forgot that we hadn't seen each other because we've become so close. And I saw them for the first time since 2012 last year, and we thought about it. This is the first time we've seen each other and been in the same room since we met. But you must have a strategy. So being visible in the room, serving, and inviting people. So when somebody says, well, how do you do X, Y, Z? Let them know. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. Sometimes I do those conversations that day over the 3 days and say, hey, let's do dinner together. That's the space where you could do it over dinner or at your next break and kind of have a conversation about what that would look like, or just supporting them, right? And then you put them on your calendar so that when you come back, you guys are connecting again. And that's when you do your sales conversation. So it's about having a strategy. You're not just showing up thinking that because you tell people what you do, they're going to give you a business card and say, hey, I need to hire you. You've got to have a strategy and a system for that high touch, right? Do you send a thank you card? Do you pick up the phone? So everyone who I met this past weekend at my event was the first time we had all connected with each other. We all ended up sending each other something, which was really funny because you see the follow-up process of high-level entrepreneurs when it comes to high touch, high engagement. It's not about collecting business cards. There was not a single business card exchanged this past weekend, but business transactions were done. It's not about you shoving your business cards in people's faces. It's about intentional connection and you not being afraid to move someone to the next step. Not in the room. You're not trying to sell in the room. You're moving to the next step. So be clear. Am I looking at this networking opportunity, whatever it is, for possible partnerships and referrals? Or is this a space where I'm trying to get to know people, to connect, and possibly create clients? Okay? 100-person and below, more intimate than that. I would say 40 and below is a great way to do kind of the snipering thing with networking. 100-person and below. Okay, but your strategy, having those 3 questions clear: what am I offering to people, right? How do I communicate what I do, so that when they hear it, they're either thinking of people they can refer you to, or thinking, I need to get to know this person better. Okay, and how can you support them so much where they're willing to invite you to speak to their community? They're willing to refer you to someone because you've already put in. It's not just about you and what you want. So networking is number 1. And I know you guys want a laptop lifestyle. Look, I'm going to show you. This is what we want to do every day. I'm wearing my house shoes and my fuzzy slippers under this thing, right? This is what we want to do every day. I get it. Me too. And there's most days that I get to do that, but strategically, I network at 2 or 3 or multi-day events once a quarter at minimum. Once a quarter at minimum. And every year in my business, I bring in clients from all of those events that I go to. Not just $500 clients. None of them are $500 clients. You know, they're investing at a level of $3,000 and above. Most of them end up doing VIP days, right? Because they already have coaches. And so I come in for a specific strategy and coach them through that. But there's a strategy. I understand where I would likely be putting them. So you need to be clear on those things. How do you communicate what you do? What are the offers that you have available to people so that as you're in these events, you can see where do they go? Where are they going to fit? How does this relationship work? How do I see them? How do I see myself supporting them? What do I have to offer them? And what can we possibly do together? And for sometimes it's just a good connection. You just vibe with a person and you just hang out with them. You chill with them. You know, I'll check on people all the time. How's it going? And a lot of times, eventually, just in that checking in and talking about what they have going on, they're like, you know what? I need to hire you. I need you to help me with something. Okay. So networking is like one of the fastest paths for you to really up level your credibility, your authority, and bring possible clients in and get those opportunities for yourself. The next one is speaking as a guest. Speaking as a guest. And you're like, well, how do I get speaking engagements? And this is where we bump into our upper limit. Okay. So speaking as a guest. So understand that speaking doesn't mean that you're standing on a stage. Sometimes you might be standing on the stage, right? If you're standing on the stage, you can pay to play. You can sponsor an event and get time on a stage. It's all about the return on investment. When you speak on a stage, right? When you speak in front of a group of people, there is an automatic imputed credibility that's given to you. But a stage can look like you being invited into somebody's, 20,000 member Facebook group and hosting a Facebook Live training in their group. The problem comes in for most of you guys is you might be doing those things, but you're not making offers. So what's the strategy behind that? And if you're under the $4,000 a month mark, you've got to be inviting people to conversations. You've got to be inviting people to conversations. Because I guarantee that your copy and your language is probably not at the point where someone's going to fork over money, right? But if you can get them in a conversation and see what's the gap, where do you want to be, where do you want to go, and then kind of show them, here's how I can support you in that. If they've gotten on the phone with you, they've already decided you're a person that can support them. Now you're walking them through the commitment. So podcast interviews. Again, what's the strategy behind it? How many of you guys have been invited to podcast interviews and you don't make any kind of offer? You don't have anything that pulls people back into your world. You just go speak. You're like, oh, this is great. And then you're promoting the person's podcast. And so it's another bit of content that's out there, but you had no strategy for bringing clients to you based on that visibility, based on that credibility, right? So those are speaking engagements. What if you did put together a webinar or a signature talk? You could literally reach out to people and say, hey, if you host me to speak to your community, I have a program that's $1,000. I pay commissions, right? You work out something where they make money for putting you in front of their audience. That's another way of being able to speak on stages. You don't just have to be invited to speak on a literal stage, but there is a virtual stage that is available to you if you're willing to connect with people and have high engagement. There's people that I've met over the past 12 months. I'm working on something where we're going to do like a telesummit to train you guys on something that's really super powerful. And I've got a whole bunch of high level movers and shakers, but that happened because I met them at an event and we connected, right? So here's an opportunity. So how can you speak and who do you know that can support you in creating that? Online or offline, and are you willing to pay to play? The two ways to pay to play are to offer people commissions if you make an offer and people buy. And I would only do that in large communities, not small communities where there's no visibility. Or you pay, you invest to sponsor an event where you get a booth and you get a, an opportunity to speak. Again, you got to make sure it's worth your while. So here's how speaking works. If you've got 100 people in a room live, typically 20% of those people will buy your product or service, right? If you've got your talk structure, your offer structure, 20% of the people will buy. So if you're selling $1,000 product, 20 people will buy your $1,000 product because of that imputed credibility. This person who's brought all these people into the room says, I need this person to speak to you. You're already a trusted advisor in that capacity, and that's why it accelerates. And if you do it correctly, you're now also building your own tribe and community of people who love you in the room, who will jump on your list based on something else that you give them. So when you speak, you always want to give two things away. You want to give away whatever your offer is, and I'll tell you what your two offers need to be depending on where you are in your business. So you want to give away your offer, and you always want to give away a freebie. Every time you speak, whether it's on a podcast, right? Sometimes on a podcast, you just give away the freebie because the podcasts live in perpetuity. So people can always grab your freebie, whether that's like, email me at this number, call me it doesn't have to have technology attached to it, right? So that's one offer, right? And the second offer is, so I told you there was going to be two offers. So you're always giving away something for free, a checklist, an audio, grab a YouTube video, make it private, something that you trained on that was really awesome. Give that away. Anything that says, hey, I have something more value to give you, to teach you. Let's exchange information somehow, or let me bring you into my world. The second offer is your next level of connection. So this is like either you're giving away a strategy session or you're selling your offer or your thing from the stage. And typically if you're selling from the stage, if you haven't been doing this for a while and you're in somebody else's community, you're typically going to sell something for $1,000 or less. So here's what I'll tell you. There are communities where you can't even come in and sell on their stage if you're not selling at least $1,000, right? At least $1,000. So, 500, 1,000, typically where you want to be, because then there's revenue that you can share there, right? So if you have the coaching and you have the strategy for how to make your offers, then do that. The second offer you can make if you don't have the coaching and the strategy is you want to offer people that strategy session that I talked about, the one that's branded, named, right? That tells people the result that they're going to get from working with you, from doing the strategy session, and that you give a value to. So this session, if you were to pay for it, like I don't do one-on-one sessions, right? But if I were to do them, they'd probably be around $600, $650 based on, what it costs to work with me. So I give a value to a strategy session that I would gift around that amount, depending on if it's half hour or full hour strategy session. So there might be like $397, $497, something like that, if it's a smaller amount of time. But give a value to it and brand it, name it, so that like because you tell them, because you're part of this community with whoever they're with, here's what I've done for you. I'm going to give you an opportunity to have a conversation with me to work these things out, whatever that is. You give them your bulleted, what you're going to do with them on the conversation, and that they have to apply. So again, you always want to make two offers, especially when you speak from the stage live. Some gift that you give away to everybody in the room for free. And then another gift that people either have to buy or apply. Buy or apply. Buy or apply. Okay? To get speaking engagements, like you just got to get over your fear of rejection and fear of feeling like you're not ready, that you need to have all of this stuff, and go for it. I would rather spend my time dialing people to possibly book me on a speaking engagement than tweaking my sales funnel over and over again when I know I don't have enough revenue to put into the front end to yield me a result. Because I can speak and make 10 grand. Speak for free and make 10 grand. But there's no guarantee that this sales funnel with an upsell, from a $50 ebook to this is going to make me money. And this is one thing that I didn't share about the sales funnel conundrum that I probably should have shared. The buyer psychology, like we talked about the Walmart, the Target, the high-end restaurant to like your Denny's type restaurant. or your mom and pop type restaurant, is that it's not likely that someone who buys something for you for $50 will end up being a $10,000 customer. Here's why, and this is why speaking is so powerful and having these conversations is so powerful, rather than following this slow sales funnel model. Think about, I love shoes, right? So let's say I'm comfortable buying $100 pair of shoes. Well, just because I'm comfortable buying 10 $100 pair of shoes, right, over the course of a year, doesn't stand to reason that I will spend $1,000 on a pair of shoes. I'm going to say that again. Just because I'm comfortable spending $100 on 10 pairs of shoes, which likely equals $1,000 over the course of 12 months, it doesn't mean that I would be willing to spend $1,000 on one pair of shoes. And so where the sales funnel issue comes in is that we believe that if we tripwire somebody to $7 and then tripwire them to $100 or $97 and then somehow upsell them into $1,000, it doesn't happen like that typically, okay? Because the buying psychology, and this is what I was telling you earlier about people who invest at high level are looking for somebody who's already offering high level. They're not looking to taste test you at $97. You're either in or not, and they just want to know how much it costs, right? So just because I'm willing to spend $1,000 a few times a year doesn't mean I will invest in a $10,000 program, because I'm not there yet. So the person who will invest at $10,000 will just invest at $10,000, right? And so what is not told to you about the sales funnel process too is that most of those people who do the tripwires, they know and understand that that money is their marketing dollars. That is the money they turn around and reinvest into their marketing so they can reach the people who are willing to spend $50K, $25K, $10,000 to work with them. Your tripwire money in the sales funnel is reinvested. It's not money they're not trying to make their monthly income and their monthly revenue off that beginning portion of their sales funnel. They're doing the stuff that I'm talking about now to reach those clients and marketing to them in a different way. But that money on the front end of the sales funnel is the marketing budget. All the small dollar stuff is that take that back and reinvest it so they can reach the clients who are willing to invest in the high-end services. Okay, so number one, networking. Number two, speaking. All done with a strategy, right? Either speaking on a virtual stage or speaking on a live stage. And then this is my third best way. And the reason why these are my best ways, guys, because you can do it without the technology overwhelm. If you can just get over your own discomfort and fear, you can step out and make it happen. Oh, wait, I wanted to tell you guys about how to book yourself for speaking. So there's two ways to get a list of places to speak. So I'm going to use one of my clients as an example because this is very clear of how we made this work. You can either get online and Google yourself, your city, and a keyword. So, Inland Empire women's organizations, Palm Springs, women's clubs, if women business organizations, executive business women's organizations. If that were your target market, and get a list. What that requires though is you to have the time frame to search out who you're supposed to talk to, all of those things, as well as a number and a way to contact them, and that all has to be done, and time goes into that. The second way of accomplishing that is when you're crystal clear on what you need, you can go to a site like Upwork and you can pay somebody to do research on your behalf. You can tell them, I want a list of 1,000 names. So like with my client who is a health coach, this is what we did. I said, okay, who do you want to work with? What age do you want to work? What area do you want to work? So we know what zip codes, right? So they're going to do the research of people who own they're not franchise. So non-franchise, like big names. We don't want health studios where she can come in and teach workshops because it's an added benefit to them. So that's what she's getting a list of in these specific zip codes within a radius around her. Not like your 24-hour fitnesses, and not keeping those people out. So she's going to get this list of, and you can tell them, I want the name, I want the phone number, I want the email address, or I just want name and phone number. You can tell them how you want it. And they will do the research and create this list. And now you have a list of people that you can reach out to. You can ask for mailing addresses, if you want to reach out with a letter. So that's one way of cutting the research down, but you pay somebody else to do the research on your behalf. Now, every day you just go, okay, every day I'm making 5 phone calls to reach out to people to offer myself to speak. So you don't call and say, hey, do you book people to speak? Or you don't call and say, hey, I want to speak and teach a workshop. What you tell them is, hey, I have a program. And so let's say this, I have a program called Get Into Your Skinny Jeans in 90 Days or Less. I've been teaching this all over the United States. I've been teaching this all over Southern California, whatever area you're in, the city of Palm Springs. And people typically pay me, a couple of $100s per person for this workshop, but I would like to bring it to your organization. And then you give them the 3 main benefits. So your people are going to walk away with X, Y, and Z. Here's what they're going to know, and here's what they're going to be able to do by participating in this program. I want to bring the program to you at no cost, right? So there's no investment for your people, and I'd like to gift them something. And so remember those 2 things that I said that you were going to give away? You're telling them that I'm going to give them this. I'm going to give a few people in the room the ability to do a one-on-one strategy session with me. And I'm also going to gift everybody in the room my XYZ kit for, cutting your sugar cravings in, just 10 days or less, right? So I'm just making up stuff, but this is how you present it. I have a program that I want to bring at no cost, right? And it shifts the dimension of what you're offering, and it's not just about you teaching a workshop. And for them, it's a benefit to them because they get to bring something to their community that they didn't have access to before, and it shows them giving value back, not just taking money, right? So that's how you do it. And if you do that every day, as opposed to making those calls every day, like 2 to 3 calls, 3 to 5 calls every single day, I guarantee, 1, you'll book yourself to speak. 2, when you deliver your speaking engagement, you will get clients, as opposed to spending time sitting at your computer hoping that by posting in social media groups, and again, that stuff works with a strategy behind it, but usually it's a little more detailed than just posting and hoping people raise their hands to work with you, with the copy and all of those things behind it. All right, so that's how you do the speaking engagements. And then the third one is this: it's speaking and creating your own stage. So I just believe that your voice is the most powerful income creation tool on the planet. So if you cannot, or if you don't have, a speaking engagement that you're creating virtually or otherwise, or in person on somebody else's behalf that you're being invited to, you can create your own, right? So think about even the Tupperware model, where it was like, hey, bring people into a living room, deliver the presentation, and then allow people to experience and buy. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you spending thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars to get 100 people in the room. You don't have to do that. It can be a small 5-person engagement. It just needs to be impactful, and it's about having the right people in the room. And how do you do that? When you articulate what you do and who you help, it automatically disqualifies those people who don't qualify to be in the room with you. Your language will inform them whether or not they need to raise their hands. And you can choose to charge for this or not. So here's my 2 philosophies about these. So let's say you don't charge for it and somebody else creates the space with the Tupperware model and gets 8 to 10 of their friends in the room so you can teach this thing. Again, you're still doing the same thing. You're offering those 2 things, right? You can do that, or you can charge or not charge. So let's say you do it and you say it's $50, it's $100, right? I'm all about high invested. So $27 workshops usually don't yield paid clients. I'm gonna say that again. $27 workshops usually don't yield paid clients. $100 workshops typically can yield a paid client. If somebody's willing to take time out of their day to spend a day with you or a half day with you and invest $100, they will likely invest $3,000 or more with you, okay? So with that in mind, if you can charge $100, know that you have highly invested people, and you can do it that way and make your offer, right? Or if you do it for free, this is how free works, so that you're not sitting there with out of pocket or people who don't show up, because people don't value things they don't pay for. So even if I were giving away free seats. Unless like the space was free and it didn't cost me anything, which I probably still wouldn't do it, I would make people pay a seat reservation fee. So I don't know how many of you guys have ever been invited to an event where they're like, you need to pay $97 or $197. And when you get back to the room, I will give it back to you. I'll write you a check for it. Okay. So this is a strategy you can use to have a free event where people pay a seat reservation fee, but when they get to the room, when they show up, you give it back. And that's no big deal. So let's say in order for me to do a 15-person event, it's going to cost me $300. And I do the free seat thing. Well, if I make one sale and I'm offering something for $3,000 and I know if I have 15 people in the room, my strategy is going to sell, then it doesn't matter that I gave the 15 people back, you know, the $97 that it cost for them to secure the seat. So you're always looking on return on investment. So that's just two different ways to look at it. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do right now. Let me make sure there's nothing else that I wanted to give you guys because I kind of went off book here. Not really. I'll just say this. Biggest thing is this, you know, what I don't want to see you guys do is in this process, giving up on yourself. Okay. So I'm going to open up for Q&A to see if anybody has any questions. So here's what I'm going to do. If you have a question for me about any of these strategies, anything that came up for you as we were going through this training, go ahead and type in chat. As I'm looking, there's no chat going on because I forgot to mention that to you guys. You can type in chat. I think there's also a way if you're on mobile and maybe even in your on your side of the computer, a way for you to raise your hand so that I can see if you have a question. Anyone? Going once? Going twice? I think this says you were speaking to a coach today and she advised yourself not to call yourself a sales coach. Here's my thing. I mean, there's things I don't call myself to, but I don't really think it matters to people what you call yourself. Like the title you give yourself, it matters to people who want to put us in a box. Like people want to label because it helps us. We feel comfortable labeling somebody. You know what I mean? To say, okay, you fit in this box or you fit in that box. I think what matters most is how you communicate what you do and the result that you provide and how you show up in the marketplace. So whether I call myself a sales coach or I call myself the Sell More mentor or I call myself an author or a speaker, none of that really matters because I can be calling myself all kinds of cutesy things. If I don't have any clients, it doesn't really matter. If people aren't willing to buy, it doesn't really matter. So the most important thing is how do I articulate what I do in a way that people understand the transformation that I provide. So understand, okay. So I'm going to answer that in a second. So understand that really what people want to know is, can you get the result? What you call yourself doesn't mean anything to anyone. It's not going to make someone hire you or not hire you because of what you name yourself. Client testimonials, those things are more important. How you position yourself when you have the conversation, those things are most important. She also said that people said that this person said that she should be posting on social media 15 times a day. So yeah, I mean, you can. There's days where I post a lot, but I post because I want to. Like I might be on one today and I just have a lot to say. It's not a strategy that I'm using because I think I'm going to get clients. And there's days I don't post at all. I mean, if you're following me, you know that that's what happens. Like if I have something to say, I say it. If I don't, I don't. If there's a strategy that I'm following because I'm doing a launch, I mean, typically that happens within a 7-day time span. Right? I'll post a certain strategy, but I'm not consistently just posting, thinking that that posting is going to get me clients. Because it's not the how many times you post that's going to get you clients. And the Facebook algorithm doesn't work that way. And so when people don't understand how the algorithm works, a lot of that stuff is futile because it doesn't work that way. So for a long time, my post had to have a picture of me for more people to see it. I've since tricked the algorithm into allowing, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I'm posting a lot without pictures. Now it's the other way around. My posts without pictures get seen more, because I got tired of trying to find a picture and always posting a picture of myself in order for more people to see it in my newsfeed. So Facebook algorithm works differently. The only thing you would be doing by posting 15 times a day is getting on people's nerves if you're not saying anything of value, because they're trying to go through their newsfeed and all they see is you. You can say that that builds top of mind awareness, but more than anything, I promise you, it's probably just annoying. Unless you're saying something that means something to them, right? And so again, that pulls me back to what's the strategy behind the marketing that you're doing. I might post 15 times a day leading up to an event or an offer, but I'm not just going to post 15 times a day just for the sake of posting 15 times a day. Because what happens when you have a smoke detector, and I don't know where you're from, Ruth, and if they do this, if this happens where you're from, you could be from another country, I don't know. But when a smoke detector or something is beeping going on, and you know you just need to put a battery in it. Okay, guys, it's beeping. Beep, beep, beep. Eventually, what happens is your brain says, I don't need that beeping noise because I know I just need a battery in it. In the beginning, you can hear it all the time. You're like, oh, shoot, is there a fire? Oh, no, there's not a fire. I need to change the battery, right? And so you don't change the battery for a while, and the beeping actually disappears because it's filtered out. Oh, I don't need that anymore. And you're like, every once in a while, you'll hear it again, and you're like, oh, I need to put that battery in because you've forgotten. You know, it's no longer annoying. You no longer hear it. This is what happens when you try to oversaturate your market and you post that many times a day on social media, and you think you're getting yourself out there, or you're posting in all these multiple groups. You become so annoying that people start to tune you out. They're like, she ain't saying nothing I need to listen to. So while they might be going across their newsfeed, they don't stop to read it. There's no pattern interrupt, and it's futile. It doesn't work anymore. So when people don't understand psychology, buying psychology, I mean, you don't have to be a psychologist, but you have to understand human interaction and how that works. Social media is just that. It's a social place, right? So what can you be doing otherwise on your behalf to have high engagement and high touch with people? You can take that sniper effect that I talked about booking speaking engagements and networking events, and what you do at networking events, and you can do it on social media. You can have a top 20 list of people you want to engage with, and make sure that every day you're commenting on their stuff. You're giving feedback when they ask a question. Because now you are giving something as opposed to just spewing your message on them every day, even though they don't need it. Most people are spamming on their personal social media profiles because you have so many different people that are from different areas of your life, but you're just spamming your business stuff, and so they're tuning you out. So how can you make sure a high engagement with people that you want to work with so that your stuff is seen in their feed, but they also see that you're a real person who's really engaging and not just sitting there trying to get business? Thirsty. No one wants to work with somebody that's thirsty. And that's what that looks like. Oh my gosh, she's doing all that because she's broke and have no clients. That's what it looks like. That's really what it looks like. You think it looks like I'm being visible? No, it looks like you're being thirsty. Okay, so my price is, all right, so I'm looking at your pricing. So this is, you must be from the UK. My price is 5K, and I have the belief, but I shared this with people that were in the 200 mindset. Yeah, so that happens. But what happens is what you're getting, remember I told you you're getting feedback, that gives you more clarity that this isn't the type of person that I want to work with. So this is for everybody. Write this down. It's just as important for you to know who you want to work with as it is for you to know who you don't want to work with. So don't just do a client list of attributes of the type of client that you want to work with. Do a list of attributes of the person you don't want to work with. Not just like you don't like them, you don't want to work with them, but who don't you get the best results for? Who's gonna drain your energy? Like if they show up in that way. So I'm clear that while I have a story of breakdown to break through, I don't want to work with people who are still in their breakdown. They must have already come out on the other side, and they're just bumping up against an upper limit, right? I'm clear about that. So that's why in my strategy session application, I can look at that and kind of tell how I'm going to support somebody when I do those calls. And I can either choose to do a call with that person because I want to kind of bless them with some time with me to give them some perspective, right? Or not, to say, no, you don't qualify. So it's really important for you to know who you don't want to work with so that you're not spending your time kissing frogs on those 700 conversations, because you can automatically say, this is who I don't want to work with. And when you see them show up, you can go, you know what, you're not a good fit. And your marketing should be informing them they're not a good fit every step of the way. Every step of the way. You know, there's a reason why I talk about the level of investments for my program all the time, because people who are not willing to at least invest 4 figures in their business, they will not apply. They won't apply at all, right? They'll go the opposite direction. They'll say, I'm not ready for you yet. Great. We're all saving each other time, right? So the other thing too is, they might be people that have that, you know, $200 mindset, right? But they also might just need some courage. So here's what I know about the women that show up in my world. This is why I say at the end of these conversations, understand if somebody's getting on the phone with you, they already have chosen that you're a person that can support them. They just need help making the commitment. And so here's what I know, that when you're bumping up against your upper limit, or you're making a decision that pulls you outside of your comfort zone, you need support to make a decision. So I'm committed to standing with people, allowing them to cry if they need to cry, allowing them to talk to themselves or they need to talk to themselves as they make that decision. And I make them aware of the fact that, you know, this might be the next step that you need to take yourself to the next level. What are you willing to do? You know, if you just keep investing $500, $500, you're going to keep getting $500 results, and you're going to keep getting $500 strategies. And I'm able to do that because I do it for myself. My last investment with my last coach in my latest program is $25,000, right? That was not an easy decision to make, especially not on the payment plan that I had to do it on. I'm like, oh my freaking God, this is stretching me. But how can I? Here's what I know about objections and people getting on the phone. You know, people throw up objections when they're uncomfortable. No objections are real. It's usually fear that comes up. And so you have to walk them through that. You cannot tell me that people will not figure out a way to do whatever it is that they need to do, right? So the objection that you cannot overcome is typically the objection that you hold true for yourself. It's the one that you're using all the time. So I will venture to say, if you have people that continue to show up and say, hey, I can't afford it, or I can't do this, either you truly believe that story because you understand it, because you might either be in that position or you have been in it before, and you're just rolling over as soon as they tell you that, right? Or I don't even know what I was going to say about that, but let me give you a story about it. So one of my coaches, or my main coach, I used to do his sales conversations for him. And when I first started doing them, he had been doing his own conversations for many, many years. Within a couple of weeks of me doing conversations, it might have been about 30 days, he called me and he wanted to have a conversation with me. I'm like, what's up? And so he goes, I noticed something really awkward and weird that was showing up in like his books, right? And so he asked me a question. Well, he said, I noticed that everybody that you enrolled is on a payment plan. And I was like, okay, what's the problem? No big deal. They're sold. They're in your program. We're doing a great job. And he goes, well, let me ask you a question. And this is the first time he brought this to my awareness. He said, let me ask you a question. And I think it was a $6,000 investment for the program that I was selling for him, pay in full. So he said, if you had to pay $6,000 right now to get into this program, could you? And I took a step back and I said, no. And what I realized that I was doing is I was jumping to the payment plan, even before people even gave me an objection, right? Because I could understand, or when they did, instead of looking for ways that they can make it happen first and using the payment plan as a final resort, I just jumped right in with them. All right, let's do this, right? And worked it out. Here's what happened when he brought that to my awareness. And I'm going to step back to the statement that I just made once I say this. The next 3 people who bought from me paid in full the $6,000. Because the objection that we allow in our conversations, and the ones we bump up against the most, the ones we cannot partner with people through, are the ones that we have ourselves, or we identify with ourselves. You've got to remove yourself out of that. It's not a projection on you or them, really. It's just you facilitating the decision. Are they willing to make the commitment? And what's the commitment, guys? It's the money. Put your money where your mouth is. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. You're all in when you say yes with money. And so think about the objections that come up. You know, I need to talk to my husband. Like, how often have you used that? You know, I need to think about it. Send me more information. How often do you use that? How come you identify with that? Do you feel like you're a person that needs to like mull things over? And so when people tell you that, instead of you recognizing what they're really saying is, I'm really scared and I don't really trust myself to make this decision because I've made a decision before and it didn't work out. I went all in before and I let myself down. Can you partner with them through that process of believing and trusting in themselves to make an investment? Because here's what I know. When someone doesn't invest, it's not because of me or anything I did. And it's not because they don't believe me or trust me. It's because they don't trust them. If you're afraid you're not going to make your investment back, that's because you don't trust you. Has nothing to do with me. So realize this, guys, if you're bumping up against the same kind of situation that's coming up person after person after person, it might not even be really anything you need to tweak other than your mindset of how you're showing up in your own life. Why am I willing to make a $25,000 investment that stretches me? The payment plan stretches me to no end. I'd love to be able to drop $25,000 at one point in time and go, okay, done, paid in full. You know, where I am in my business now, I think my most comfortable level of just dropping money like in full is like $2,000. Like I'll drop $2,000 on a program and it doesn't hurt. But I remember a time where making a $500 investment, I remember when a $200 investment set me reeling, right? And in those moments, I was having a hard time of getting people to pay me $75 for 3 months worth of work. So your world reflects back to you who you're being. So when you get on a call with somebody, you know you want to work with them, you're like, I just want to know how much it costs. I just want to know how much it costs. And when they tell you how much it costs, you take a step back and you go, okay, well, all right, well, I was just looking, right? Which is what we do when we're in the store. We know we came to buy a pair of jeans, and when the salesperson comes up and says, hey, can I help you? You're like, no, I'm just looking. Because we're used to just quickly, repelling the ability to have to give money right away or talk about money. So think about how you're showing up in your own world when it comes to those interactions. And if you begin to shift it, it will begin to shift for you. Because you'll no longer identify. Like, I don't identify with people that are like, I don't have the money, because I know what I've done to come up with it. I know the yeses that I've given, and I'm like, okay, here we go. We got to make this work. And we make it work, right? I know what it feels like to go rock bottom and be broke. When I say I went rock bottom, this is not some story I tell, fairy tale, to just say it to make the story sound good. Like, I couldn't feed my kids. I had 2 degrees, already earned multiple 6 figures, and I was in a point where every day, like, I couldn't scrape up enough change. I was buying $5 extra large pizzas from the pizza shop and pretending with my kids that we were just having fun, but that was all I could afford to feed them. There was too many of us. Right? And luckily they were small at the time. That was my reality. So when I know what it took, and I'm going to tell you guys this story. I told this to my clients. I just went full circle to the space where I met my main coach, where I met him for the first time. And I wasn't thinking about it. I went back to this hotel. It's on Newport Beach, right on PCH Avenue. So the hotel is this beautiful, large, just beautiful hotel in California, right at the beach. The first time I ever went there, when I first met him, I was broke as a joke. It was when I was in that breakdown. This was my last ditch effort to make this work. And I remember turning the corner and knowing that we had to pay $26 a day to park. And I barely was like trying to figure out how I was going to have enough money to feed myself. And I think I had like sold a client couple $100, and that's how I had the money to get there. And so I got there and I thought this was the last resort. And I remember pulling around the corner to start to turn into a hotel, and there were these parking meters up on the side, and I literally pulled over to look at the meter. I got out of my car because I was trying to calculate if it was cheaper for me to park my car in the meter than to park in the actual space. And the meter space was $50 a day, and the park in the hotel was $26. So I just went around and I parked, did what I needed to do. So $26 a day over 3 days. We're talking almost $100 just to freaking park my car. And I think all I had was like $200. So here I am this week pulling back around this space. And I wasn't thinking, I'm like jamming, I'm enjoying my drive up PCH, looking at the beautiful, looking at the sea as I'm driving up Pacific Coast Highway. And I get ready to make the turn and I bust out in tears because I have a visceral memory of that moment. And I realize how far away from that moment I actually am. So here's my thing. When it comes to walking people through the objection of investing in themselves, I know that a woman with a made-up mind cannot be stopped. And so I don't accept that objection as reality. There's something deeper going on there. The same will hold true for you with all of there's 5, objections that come up in a sales conversation. The same will hold true for you when you realize that, okay, this isn't real, this is perceived, I need to think about it, what are they really saying? And so when you have people who show up in your world in a certain position or using the certain language over and over and over again, start to reflect a mirror back and go, okay, how am I showing up in this area of my life? And why am I accepting this as reality for them? Why? Right? It's what I had to do when my coach called me on the carpet on the payment plans. He had been selling his own programs, and what was happening is the majority of people were paying in full. Then I started selling for him, and the majority of people were on payment plans. He noticed it right away. And he knew the issue right away. Changed everything for me. Changed everything for me. So Ruth, my real question to you coming off on this, and I want you to answer it for yourself, is do you really believe? Do you really believe? And in that believing, how are you showing up in the conversation? Not that these people would change their mind, but how are you guiding them to be aware that they have this $200 mindset, right? Or 200-pound mindset or whatever. How are you guiding them to make them aware so that they can either choose to do something different or accept that they are accepting that this is their reality? I don't think I understand. So it says, yes, the vision I shared was with my mentor, which I dropped. Can you make that a little clearer for me? I know we're typing, and I don't know if you're audible. Okay, so your mentor said that your price was too high. Yeah, and in the beginning, that could be the case. That could be the case or not, right? I don't always think it's that your price is too high. Sometimes it is that you don't have the capacity to receive at that level, right? But you can dig deep and figure that out for yourself, whether it's really that, or if it's that, people aren't getting the value, or they're just scared and in their own stuff, right? There's a very real possibility for everyone. Like you might go gung-ho and set a price, and you are really subconsciously repelling those clients because you don't think you're worth it. I was doing it, right? I was doing it. I no longer suffer from that. What I'm working through now is like, I want to help people so much that I have created stretched out payment plans and all kinds of other things that aren't really serving the people, and they don't serve me. And so I'm working through that right now too, because it's time to start calling people higher. So what we need to learn how to do is, how do we reflect and figure out what's us and what's other people, right? I need to shift how I show up, and what's my capacity to receive? Am I being an authority? Am I being a leader on this conversation? Or am I allowing people to slap me around and just do anything? So yeah, you may not need to drop your price, right? It just may be a matter of, again, walking people through this process of communicating. Thank you so much for allowing us to walk through that. So she said, okay, this is Yolanda. So I'm working on finalizing 2 new packages for my current mastermind clients. Can I send them over to you to review and make it better? Yes, by all means, send that to me. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. Are there any other questions? Do I see raised hands, chat box, comments? No, let me make sure there's no raised hands that I'm missing. Anything coming up for you guys? All right, so if you're already a client of mine, you know how you have access to me. If you're not, you're welcome. I've been excited to teach this. It came to me this past weekend. I've been excited to teach it for a long time. There's just something that we're missing, with what needs to be done in our business, and we want it to be so easy. It is easy, but the simplification in it comes in doing the things that we probably feel like, I really want to do that. But if you could do that and focus on that and get over yourself, you'll actually make money faster. Because it's harder to try to sell 10 people a $200 thing, find 10 people to sell a $200 thing, than to find one person to sell a $5,000 thing to, right? If you only wanted to make $100,000 in a year, over the next year, that only takes 10 people saying yes to a $10,000 offer. That's all it takes. Now, you might not be able to live on that, consistently. I don't know. But can you get 10 people to say yes to paying $10,000 over a 12-month period of time, over 52 weeks, if you're consistently going after that? Heck yeah. So why don't people do it? Can you get 20 people? Heck yeah. Because we're so sidetracked focusing on activities that don't yield that result, that aren't narrowed in and focused on that outcome that we want. So you got to get clear on the outcome. You guys are so welcome. So remember 2 things. Supernova Sales School is every first Thursday, same time, same bat channel, 12 p.m. Pacific. We use the same Zoom link typically. And then if you're not a client of mine and you need to work through languaging and you really want to see if possibly working with me is a good fit and what we can do to create something different for you, all you have to do is go to my same landing page that's there for you all the time. It's bit.ly/10K permission. bit.ly/10K permission, all lowercase letters. There's an application process, so you can read through that. It tells you who's qualified to apply for this session or not. Put yourself on my calendar. We'll review your application. My team will respond to you and let you know if you're qualified, and then we're going to keep your appointment, and then we'll jump on a call and I will walk you through what are some of the blocks that might be getting in your way. We'll even look at how you might be languaging your messaging with your clients. We'll look at what your goals are and what's the gap between where you are and what you're doing now and where you want to be, and how possibly you may begin to take a powerful step or a couple of powerful steps that might get you in the right direction and on the right track. Okay, so again, bit.ly/10K permission. Apply for a strategy session if you want me to walk you through that. It's my permission to profit session, and I'll be happy to do that. If there's no other questions, I'm going to let you guys go. In the playground, I'm posting lots of things to get you guys engaged. The reason why I want you engaged and posting is because it's going to build the muscle of showing up powerfully in your business. When I post a deep question, you have something that comes up in your mind that says, I don't want to post because I don't want people to judge me. That's likely something that's blocking your financial success in your business and your ability to get clients. Eleanor Roosevelt said, you must do that thing that you think you cannot do. So here's what I know. When I think, oh my gosh, I can't do that, then I'm like, shoot, I gotta do it because this is where my block is, okay? So I'm gonna be stretching you guys with what you're sharing, how you're sharing. I'm also gonna be giving you opportunities to practice how you pitch your business and how you share what you do in your business. So those things are gonna be starting to come around. You'll be getting introduced to Paula soon. Paula is my online business manager that I've recently brought on. So she'll be helping me moderate the group, but I will always be there interacting with you. Always be aware of how you're showing up. Lurkers and hiders lurk and hide in the marketplace as well because of fear of judgment, fear of being found out, and it's what keeps you broke, stagnant, struggling, stuck. I don't want that for you. I do not want that for you. So the playground is a place where you get to practice being powerful. That's all the playground is about. It's you practicing being a power player, practicing being an authority, practicing being a leader so that you can be a leader in the marketplace. That's the community that I've created. It's like no other space out there. This is the desire of my heart for this space that we've created, a place where you can celebrate and brag on your accomplishments, and you can hit a breakdown and be supported and borrow belief from other people who are cheering you on, okay? All right, love, so I'm gonna stop recording and let you guys go, but I'm gonna unmute the line so you guys can say bye to each other because we're all hanging out with each other here. And let me switch this off real quick. There, you guys are. Everybody's got their cameras off. It's all good. Hiding. That's one thing I like to see you guys' faces. There's no hiding. All right, let me unmute you guys so you can say bye verbally. What am I doing? Oh, here we go. Unmute. All right, everybody, you can say bye now. See you guys later.
Bye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Have a good week. I'll see you later.